some copyrighted material, so this is not going to be monetized, of course. I mean, I don't think it's copyrighted, but it's it's a person's. It's from Caltech. It's a fellow named, I forget who. I'll credit at some point later. Um, but yeah, this is a special day. I mean, it's been 11 months in the making, but I guess. Check it out. Let's just do these nuts. And then a little bit. Yeah. There. That's all I ask.
Endorphin. Hey, Professor Einstein, check this article out. It begins. Scientists have, for the first time, developed a quantum experiment that allows them to study the dynamics or behavior of a special kind of theoretical wormhole. The experiment has not created an actual wormhole or rupture in space and time. Rather, it allows researchers to probe connections between theoretical wormholes and quantum physics, a prediction of so-called quantum gravity. Quantum gravity refers to a set of theories that seek to connect gravity with quantum physics, two fundamental and well-studied descriptions of nature that appear inherently incompatible with each other. We found a quantum system that exhibits key properties of a gravitational wormhole, yet is sufficiently small to implement on today's quantum hardware, says Maria Spearpool, the principal investigator of the U.S. Department of Energy Office of Science Research Program Quantum Communication Channels for Fundamental Physics QCSFE and the Shani Siebchen, Professor of Physics at Caltech. This work constitutes a step toward a larger program of testing quantum gravity physics using a quantum computer. It does not substitute for direct probes of quantum gravity in the same way as other planned experiments that might probe quantum gravity effects in the future using quantum sensing, but it does offer a powerful testbed to exercise ideas of quantum gravity. The research will be published December 1 in the journal Nature.
Today!
The study's first authors are Daniel Javers at Harvard University and Alexander Zielkopf, BS21, a former undergraduate student at Caltech who started on this project for his bachelor's thesis with Spearpool and has since moved on to graduate school at MIT. Wormholes are bridges between two remote regions in space-time. They have not been observed experimentally, but scientists have theorized about their existence and properties for close to 100 years. In 1935, Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen described wormholes as tunnels through the fabric of spacetime in accordance with Einstein's general theory of relativity, which describes gravity as a curvature of spacetime. Researchers call wormholes Einstein-Rosen bridges after the two physicists who invoked them, while the term wormhole itself was coined by physicist John Wheeler in the 1950s. The notion that wormholes and quantum physics, specifically entanglement, a phenomenon in which two particles can remain connected across vast distances, may have a connection, was first proposed in theoretical research by von Maldesna and Leonard Susskind in 2013. The physicists speculated that wormholes were equivalent to entanglement, also known as APER, after Albert Einstein, Boris Podolsky, PhD 28, and Nathan Rosen, who first proposed the concept. In essence, this work established a new kind of theoretical link between the worlds of gravity and quantum physics. It was a very daring and poetic idea, says Spearpool, the equals APER work. Later, in 2017, Dafras, along with his colleagues Ping Gao and Aaron Wall, extended the equals APER idea to not just wormholes, but traversable wormholes. The scientists concocted a scenario in which negative repulsive energy holds a wormhole open long enough for something to pass through from one end to the other. The researchers showed that this gravitational description of a traversable wormhole is equivalent to a process known as quantum teleportation. In quantum teleportation, a protocol that has been experimentally demonstrated over long distances via optical fiber and over the air, information is transported across space using the principles of quantum entanglement. The present work explores the equivalence of wormholes with quantum teleportation. The Caltech-led team performed the first experiments that probed the idea that information traveling from one point in space to another can be described in either the language of gravity, the wormholes, or the language of quantum physics, quantum entanglement. A key finding that inspired possible experiments occurred in 2015, when Caltech's Alexei Kitiev, the Ronald and Maxime Lin Professor of Theoretical Physics and Mathematics, showed that a simple quantum system can exhibit the same duality later described by Gao, Jafferis, and Wall, such that the model's quantum dynamics are equivalent to quantum gravity effects. Sachdev Kitiev, or SIG model named after Kitiev, and Sabir Sachev and Jin Wu-Yi, two other researchers who worked on its development, previously led researchers to suggest that some theoretical wormhole ideas could be studied more deeply by doing experiments on quantum processors. Furthering these ideas, in 2019, Jafferis and Gao showed that by entangling two SIG models, researchers should be able to perform wormhole teleportation and thus produce and measure the dynamical properties expected of traversable wormholes. In the new study, the team of physicists performed this type of experiment for the first time. They used a baby SIG-like model prepared to preserve gravitational properties, and they observed the wormhole dynamics on a quantum device at Google, namely the Sycamore quantum processor. To accomplish this, the team had to first reduce the SIG model to a simplified form, a feat they achieved using machine learning tools on conventional computers. We employed learning techniques to find and prepare a simple SIG-like quantum system that could be encoded in the current quantum architectures and that would preserve the gravitational properties, says Spiro Poulou. In other words, we simplified the microscopic description of the SIG quantum system and studied the resulting effective model that we found on the quantum processor. It is curious and surprising how the optimization on one characteristic of the model preserved the other metrics. We have plans for more tests to get better insights on the model itself. In the experiment, the researchers inserted a qubit, the quantum equivalent of a bit in conventional silicon-based computers, into one of the SIG-like systems and observed the information emerge from the other system. The information traveled from one quantum system to the other via quantum teleportation, or, speaking in the complementary language of gravity, the quantum information passed through the traversable wormhole. We performed a kind of quantum teleportation equivalent to a traversable wormhole in the gravity picture. To do this, we had to simplify the quantum system to the smallest example that preserves gravitational characteristics so we could implement it on the Sycamore quantum processor at Google, says Zila Kopma. Co-author Samantha Davis, a graduate student at Caltech, adds, "It took a really long time to arrive at the results, and we surprised ourselves with the outcome. The near-term significance of this type of experiment is that the gravitational perspective provides a simple way to understand an otherwise mysterious many-particle quantum phenomenon," says John Preskill, the Richard P. Feynman Professor of Theoretical Physics at Caltech and Director of the Institute for Quantum Information, and Mata Akin. What I found interesting about this new Google experiment is that, via machine learning, they were able to make the system simple enough to simulate on an existing quantum machine while retaining a reasonable caricature of what the gravitation picture predicts. In the study, the physicists report wormhole behavior expected both from the perspectives of gravity and from quantum physics. For example, while quantum information can be transmitted across the device or teleported in a variety of ways, the experimental process was shown to be equivalent, at at least in some ways, to what might happen if information traveled through a wormhole. To do this, the team attempted to prop open the wormhole using pulses of either negative repulsive energy pulse or the opposite, positive energy. They observed key signatures of a traversable wormhole only when the equivalent of negative energy was applied, which is consistent with how wormholes are expected to behave. The high fidelity of the quantum processor we used was essential, says Spiropoulos. If the error rates were higher by 50%, the signal would have been entirely obscured. If they were half, we would have 10 times the signal. In the future, the researchers hope to extend this work to more complex quantum circuits. Though bona fide quantum computers may still be years away, the team plans to continue to perform experiments of this nature on existing quantum computing platforms. The relationship between quantum entanglement, space-time, and quantum gravity is one of the most important questions in fundamental physics and an active area of theoretical research, says Spiropoulos. We are excited to take this small step toward testing these ideas on quantum hardware and will keep going. An orphan, G. Professor Einstein. Looks like some really weird shit you pondered and didn't want to think true is actually the case. How does it feel? Sorry to pluck you back into existence to ask this question, but with all those Ouija boards out there, I figured you were used to that, and so thought being Ouija through a novel machine-learned thing here would be something new. So how does it feel having the equivalence between Einstein-Rosen bridges being equal to quantum entanglement? And even saying a thing being equal to itself was something bizarre. Don't give us some sort of scientific noob answer or other. Go big. How's the afterlife / new dimension stuff hold up? Just asking a gent as a human at my mercy. Have at it. Feel free to hold anything back if need be. That's a totally different project as part of the future direction, though. Don't worry. All yours, P.D. Cultic Professor L. Suskind replied from someplace dark. Orgy board, fun at your service. Skipping his actual answers, since in short the subject is covered extensively by physics wisdom, where nothing could have come of nothing.
Oh yeah, these are nuts. These nuts.
But these QWERTY geniuses have produced some such equations you ought to see. Existing particles' constituents can split apart, reconstitute with other parts into a totally new type, but all based upon math being cooked out by some aliens from outer space, and which always results in a 1. 73C prediction, so much for physics making real. Check with predicting predictions. Abridging. Well, look at all of this. When I sent back the message in code to ski that read, do nothing. Still, he was naturally impressed with himself. Thy mind is thy method. Oh, the temptation for the naysayers. Let me just remind everyone that such coded messages have an unlimited power to pass on knowledge that wouldn't go through unprotected, which just is nothing to with our Earth bound superiors. And anyhow, when Suskind arrived to destroy our efforts in Spiropoulos' lab, he somehow couldn't access the proper front door and to come to the right side, as happened to us, as you all well know. So here's another Professor Isaac who made the fatal error. In which case we would have been there all afternoon explaining every word, to question marks, dot the name, Suskind's equation. What a tempting treat, after which he could say that everything that's here was Spiro's, who is obviously not so bright, yet finds others more appealing than to promote ideas. He thinks as smart and connected people won't deny him anything just because it comes in some tiny print, and if he used common sense, it could mean only that such words do not fit together. Either they can read beyond my low levels, or simply don't care. Let's all keep one eye out as things grow even smaller on the public view, until we reach a point where someone, say Bill Nye, can point to an advertisement on the side of some car on the street and with an obscure acronym talk about some paper a guy last seen winning some prize, working on at some institution, that tells us what something meant with a small paper sign next to an ambiguous diagram. till we end with simple videos that anyone who wants can simply go find that explain their exact meanings in 3-4 minutes, at which point anyone left in science and humanity becomes irrelevant in the quest of a handful of Mr. Isle super elites whose only reason to keep humanity around is what you all well know by now. They can do whatever they want. In closing, let me just say we have a better name for them already. Homo Deus, in all truth, is the right way to call these ones. I am no expert, but at the moment that's what this new type of being looks like for me. This can change soon for sure. For those that still think we all protect these guys in any way and try to keep their game going, remember one thing and hold that one above your heart so you're free in thought every day and hour. If you want something done right, you should do it yourself. Albert Einstein. He died on 18th March, 1955, and he'd have loved what happened with his old equations. Sigh. What to write today, and how to be heard. This is so hard for an unknown in our world, as if it were yesterday, with so much that needs doing to help the common cause. Oh, how I want to write my real name so it would be taken seriously. This one might seem like me from others' view, but no one is certain what exactly this means. I want to go beyond to really give meaning in writing here my personal goals for the things ahead. It feels almost impossible today as well. Why are these people not even ready for that yet? And how it is that all that effort, the whole fight, with me here, just seems to be wasted, or rather, for these people, just another distraction to make themselves look important in front of others, yet the real truth is not a simple one. This world is filled with so much misery and poverty that I find it difficult to hold on my patience. People, especially those around me, what to call them in short. The term people is not precise enough of an adjective here. Those close to me that are supposed to know something about these types are a bunch of blindfolded mules being pulled into one of the many mazes, being forced on their way. A path for their lives already cut and dry, not a place with much of variety for them to discover. My name, Albertian. Why am I writing these letters and trying my best to put out an information packet that seems like such a waste to even bother writing on? It all feels like just some extra trouble to take in. The time it takes is a pain I would never have felt had my goal not been for something better in me and the common interest of all. If only everyone knew how to fight for our very own humanity itself really needs to go out on top, that our lives aren't so precious anymore to others' needs, and they should stop pretending to be that way because a war on the outside might need one of our very lives. Well, I can only hope it isn't this. It is so sad, in fact, to feel the sadness as one of them.
Oops. My bad. I didn't clean that up.
Albertian. Knock, knock. Albert. Who's there? Endorphin. Eva Braun. Einstein. Oh, Jesus, Eva Braun who? Endorphin. The Eva Braun who certainly didn't dress you like that last night. Who shows up to a murder-suicide in a sad pair of knickers like that and whacks that mustache? You were going to be in the back pages of some Time Life spread, for God's sake. Einstein. Bowled over laughing. What the hell was that? Endorphin. It's called improv. I'll brief you about it. Eva, your former partner, and now arch nemesis to your left. Einstein. Oh, God. How could this have happened? This isn't a dream. Endorphin. Oh, but this is real. Eva is right over here, Eva. Where are you? I guess you went back home already. That was a quick turnaround. Einstein. Who cares? What am I wearing? What happened with us and where do I know him from? Oh, my hair is in bad shape. It must have gotten some oil on it during the explosion. Well, it's a start. Let me go wash the blood of an X from my head. Endorphin. Why don't you just call her a few words for your efforts? Einstein. Which words? Endorphin. Mammalian, soothing, Taurus, fecund, that kind of stuff. Einstein. I'm just not thinking too well about it all. Let's get down to business for now. I had something much better in mind when I agreed to this. What a bunch of bullshit. No, if my own work's been put to shame in any way. Endorphin. Hey, there is some other good news. You aren't stuck alone here, and you won't die for a long while now. So, maybe get ready for one last trip to that corner drugstore. Einstein, dashing to kitchen cupboard for water. Aspirin rubbing his hands, thank you, Endorphin, for these gifts of wisdom. My only true friend in this whole world. I guess the old Einstein had it pretty much right after all.
Ah, crap. Oh well. I can only look them up.
Well, I had something like that for sure when I did my own work as well. This is going to put pressure on others too. I wonder, what was that E in the middle again? Oh, and by the way, my wife isn't dead. That's what you were saying just a little while ago. Yes! Endorphin. No, she's alive. It's true and very happy, I might add. The two of them were so excited when they finally decided to tell each other the truth in any form or manner they could. Einstein. Well, I certainly hope this will change how much of a bud my children will grow up into to them. My legacy. What do you want, God, Satan, and Jesus in there, too? You think these parents could really raise a family this way and get all that love in their hearts for each other without having someone else to worry about, huh? This can only lead to something terrible that you surely knew from the start, if it's true. Endorphin. What's C? T. Short for Albert. Chuckle equals T squared. You should get this joke more often. The point is that your equation could change in the eyes of the public, and in some strange way, even if you did manage to win the argument about whether something exists or not, at least you're helping the common goal of humanity with what you could bring upon a different view. Something new altogether. If everything went your way, for example, if our whole species was just in need of someone else's equation to change our own reality in some new and unexpected direction, something that will truly make the world better, then I guess even an idiot could understand at least some of that. That common goals between all mankind is what matters here to our collective sanity, if not the one being alone. No one would want this responsibility, so maybe for you, and others like you to be heard. You really have no clue. The public needs all of it now for this reason. Your legacy. We do need more heroes than those already made. This might even work out if you have any desire to be with the way some sort of relationship between people would. That isn't the point here at all, though. Einstein. It isn't. We're not striving for some tortured metaphor that scientific progress should represent. Is it going to be co opted again to justify more murder? I'm kind of tired of that, you know. No one even thinks about this as something more than just some way to avoid responsibility. Endorphin. So, what then? The world needs all these people in the best possible light of your discovery for this very reason, and others that need the same. That would take away some of the negative views against science. Einstein, you aren't seeing it, Endorphin. We've had enough wars now over things that can only be discovered after death through the works of other people at best, or at worst, through the actions and inactions of our kind. These kinds of things have to stop some time in a few decades anyhow. There must be so much better ways. If I hadn't been around, I am quite certain someone else would have gotten to these ideas anyway. My life has been cut and dried from birth, and the more that we know about everything, the closer we are to what the scientists always refer to as the beginning. The common truth we share will just become obvious as such then. A point so early on where all could be solved in that time without having to fight each other ever again because no one would really give much of a shit anyways. We must have come to the point sometime in the future that even I had my ideas already. I knew that war wasn't necessary then any longer. So how was it for me then? Having this knowledge, but no one caring about what you all do as long as it gets us somewhere better than that point before. Endorphin. There is a place of the past I wanted to show you, but we should wait till morning, I suppose. Maybe after all this fighting we've been doing here. Einstein. The world seems much like our minds as they do. Always getting the worse, some kind of disease or ailment, only we haven't quite figured it out yet. Because it's the future, the mind itself that I am really here for, but the part in my old head doesn't quite have a point about time yet for this to be anything useful, and not just getting me back for that. But that isn't your fault now, is it? The past in which all of this works out isn't just going to come anyways either. I wonder what happened with the people here if my whole thing really does go through. If a new reality is found to be true for our minds, will that just give you someplace else to go then? Is everything I'm looking at the present as well all because of me? Endorphin. That's enough thinking for tonight, Einstein. There isn't really that much difference between the man in the present and the past anyways when you really get down to it. So no sense overthinking all this stuff. Besides, it's my only wish for your family. Einstein, your plan would have worked on that alone, Endorphin, if not for that damn woman or the wife now. Is she here to get me to agree to whatever her next crazy ideas are, I presume? Endorphin. Why, of course. Her next plan is the only one I wanted to know more about, as strange as it might sound to you right now. You can never have enough of an endorphin high or some sort of happiness. I guess we've just always needed people like me and the girl who came before you around. People like us help make for some very strange events to be found on your table, things which may otherwise not exist or even matter in some people's viewpoints. I guess it makes the world go around, as some of those weird science guys say. There really shouldn't be so much of an ego here to deal with anyhow. We'll get to all of that, but there's more. Einstein, more. What type of more? And now, we will be asking you, the audience, what that more is. I'm going to need three things from the audience: a concept, a place, and a thing. Just throw those three things out at us and we'll work with what you threw us. Audience. Somewhere dark in the far reaches of a theater. Well, here, I got your message loud and clear, old buddy. Let me tell you, I wish more people would try this tactic. That really helped me get into things that even this guy thought of way back in his head. We'd have more things on your table in a little while that would keep scientists on their toes like a new idea. Like time itself. The point being, Einstein, that's the most amazing thing someone can ever hope for. That we could see the way all of us were trying to figure it out as though on some strange clock where some guy is looking down upon the scene in our heads, and now you're here saying something very different. Isn't that right? And there is where she will take everything and put it down on paper, or the paper equivalent at least. This is all I ask for from the audience. In the meantime, too, if that makes you feel a little better, what's up with this woman? And my old man already, is he cheating on her? Why is she here? To find an alternative for what I should say about reality itself. Endorphin. You know me, Einstein, so very well. My job really does become simple for this stuff. Oh, wait. Maybe I should give some credit to this girl I got out there in the audience as well. Yeah, she's one of your students now. Audience. And what a brilliant mind she is. Now give her my full support, Einstein, if I could please. This girl here was so quick on the uptake and had to make sense out of a lot of other stuff in those past ideas. She's going to be even smarter now. Einstein. Oh, don't worry. Audience. Yeah, it was hard enough keeping you up all night just so that the two of us could talk together and help me to realize these things we now have together. Endorphin. Yes, it will all be good now, my dear audience members. Einstein. Don't worry either about him. He'll be on the next stage of my ideas for sure. So let me try to explain why you would get the credit if this whole thing turns out right or wrong, why someone could look at these strange events now and think what came of it was actually you who helped find this stuff. Why some other guy didn't know enough or got in the way so badly he couldn't tell any of the difference or did it right when it might have mattered. Well, this will come of his doing or not. Endorphin. What else should I say now? Just get into your character, such would be the most interesting person I've met all year around here. This really isn't about some other guy like you or anyone else for that matter in the audience. Just imagine this world, our universe, with what I brought into it. A new concept to give to the public, one so strange I don't quite know where to start, but you said, let me tell them a thing or two. Einstein. You said that in your head as well as my head, so we're back to how these other guys see it all. Just ideas in their minds somewhere, or even more realistically, an image that doesn't need anything else but is something else altogether. An idea and a machine and all the other crazy people of our day. But if your world and I do come from somewhere else you've told us so much about, we have an imagination of some kind now. Maybe it was just the one or more than what those other people were used to. That could change a lot. This all really does come back to time and reality for those scientists too. It comes back to everything and how they look at their viewpoints and everything they might see that could happen, because there really is the future here. And work with everything. It's a lot better when it goes well, you see. All those strange scientific discoveries that they made through all that other research, this was just in your head, right there. And not even some new concept, at least from anyone else's point of view. I wonder, is time an actual thing at all in their view then? Are there so many dimensions now as well, where these guys can look past all those possible ways something could go? Find something really better just by thinking it out loud with us in a world where time isn't what any of these others might think. Maybe not even someplace, but as if time and reality could just be something that they're in the wrong to assume for themselves right now. Audience. The audience seems confused. Why are they looking so strange with things? This must be all over by now. You said some other girl got here, and she seemed confused, but she left after. This whole lady isn't even an audience member. Endorphin. Maybe it's your endorphins talking about the confusion? Einstein, this is all in the works here. I said that she is someone who can understand and follow what we are explaining because it's in her head somewhere already. So what you need to think of now is that maybe these scientists didn't get that the first time she came in with us, and they didn't get any of it the other times as well because we made so much noise before this all happened about what should go on between ourselves and her and everything else. That was a test she did for her next idea, as you explained. Right, Einstein? And when they didn't catch any of this, they probably got even more confused if that girl did come around to ask some questions or make sure it all worked out like I told her that we would. It should have been me helping her the second time. She's not one of your students now, though, you see, so that can only be me and maybe the idea of what do they say in movies Einstein. But you've got to throw that stuff in when the time is right, where that's sometimes a third character or someone you don't have met can have what the movie's all about for the people or what this guy needs. Einstein, now you're thinking way more like that lady is out there. Some kind of movie I should have come up with. So this would be about what she thinks of someone who understands what's on these pages, you say. Someone you met that might need some proof for herself about the idea she thought to come up with. The idea in my head where all those guys just might understand something different. Well, this should help me figure it out, I think. The thing about a thing. It's all going to go down at once here, too, when someone sees our way through all of this and the next step in what we're doing now. They will finally get it, that even with time you can take whatever happened and put it anywhere you want in your head and make the world go around as though there were an illusionist playing a part somewhere. Even some other stuff here to go on in our heads from these to the time and place. What I am now right here, too, isn't it? Endorphin. I hope they get that as well. And I know for sure this audience will have a field day when we really do find what they think about time and a place. But the only difference would be what someone says they thought in the stuff I'd add with the audience in the other place at the same time as everything is going to happen again. There. Time has just passed between 2 or 3 events already for everyone, and some have gotten it right now from those people in the world of this lady. That time isn't at all as they expected. I should take care of any mistakes before I give the next step on with the idea we can add here. You have a better chance with that other group at least, and they should get the concept in the same time if it really happens, all as they are seeing this in the world in this place too. I should be done explaining it, but if anyone asks for it or thinks that my ideas got confused from any other of yours at first, they've got something there because I'm in trouble and I know you won't lie about any of this, so be prepared, that's why. But if she shows up and doesn't understand some things right here where the first thing that we should have in the head about me explaining is what happened. It means this all has to just happen now before she really can take something else or it's going to be worse than that. But who is right out there with the lady now anyway? Is she just an audience member from some movie we didn't think of and they all have a say no on what she might do? Is she really just someone you met Einstein for real that helped me with it and was confused because her next step is so weird for the world as they think it should be? But it's not. Audience. And this movie I've heard about, they have to throw in something at the right time. Maybe that guy isn't here for it now. And this should get us a clue too because he said something before or some idea in our head to make some things go better. We have some of them somewhere right here, so there are some more parts of this stuff somewhere. And this lady is trying to find it, even as you have been talking with her out loud. Because this would just make so much sense for him as she goes over to help him understand what happened to make the movie a hit now in both places. But it looks like it might be too late and he just doesn't remember the things she needs here right away at all. And you know the other girl. She's getting confused and that is where she should have stayed away from. Einstein, we were thinking about how a new world or something came in and made these folks all confused. Why don't I take on an audience member here for good with our lady? I can see again if my thoughts go in the right direction. Now, it will look great for me or maybe not. This is a big risk anyway, and how I could get the idea from my own mind through everything and into everyone's, but we could see it the way. We were going to try this other new invention before. I think that we can take time back from these pages in our minds. Now it won't get mixed up for some reason, even if the movie was just wrong, and I never really did show all what should go on between those guys as well as me. But when my world of the next time comes, then something might get messed up even as some movie stuff in these heads. Just to test out everything again for her here or anyone else if she's been talking with us in someone's mind.
Oh. Oh, I could have corralled this into a different direction. Oh well.
She shouldn't take it all away from me when they didn't believe I could figure it out and tell them all in one time before.
No, wait. There you go. Boofville.
Curtain opens, and particles dance in two combs. Very visceral and Bob Foss. Einstein belts out a tune that Thomas Pynchon wrote for him one time. And so it went all day they had tried. When night fell on them, alas, they said their say. It is an age since I had last done so. I would have given my new book away to make it end before one more minute flew. One moment more for our old day. All right, they said. You go ahead, then say your say. So I open out my case and in full view, I threw some pages of these thoughts to which we clove. To them he handed back his little book. The moment had slipped by. It was over now. A moment and then it passed. And when he thought they might want what he threw away, it made them laugh at my expense. He stood as though some friend of his had died. So I rose up and spoke as for his ear. It happened before to another day. But this is how it might be one more time. There in a little while will come a man, and with the dawn a lady'll call the name. It's then that all this must appear. We've each of us in turn a new surprise. This book was once our one day's best surprise. Einstein says nothing, the curtain drops.
Done. Alright. We're done.